live stream is going. Whoops. That's fine. Let's see. I've got my GoPro and my. Have you ever heard of Live Solo U? So it's this cool little device. It's a, I think they call it a media encoder. So I bought 2 little modems. Sorry, I totally hijacked that. I just saw I was tinkering with it, and then I actually guess it turned on. So it's got these 2 little modems. I've got one from Verizon, one from AT&T, and actually I should pull it out while I'm talking if I'm live streaming. I think it's going. I don't know where it's going. People, like after I shared that video, so many people actually believe all this stuff, right? And then why are we? Nobody's talking about it. There's no way to get that info out, and we're just watching stuff get shut down left and right. And I feel like, well, what's the alternative is if we all start talking to each other and coming together and just recognizing that we're actually not the minority. You know, we just don't have the infrastructure. Do you care? Do you care if I put us on speaker? Nobody's gonna know who you are, but then they can actually. Okay, cool. I think I'd love to have them actually hear what you're saying. So cool.
That map that shows the red counties versus the blue counties.
Right. That's crazy.
That's the one that really freaks me out. And so when I show my son, if people have that to use for context, then that, even something as simple as that, kind of reassures them that they're not alone.
Right.
That we wound up being on the wrong end of a very well thought out, well financed plan that's been going on for a long time. I mean, George Soros has been funding, putting in his own slate of attorney generals for years.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that.
And it worked.
The person I was talking to last night actually said that they had gone to Germany as they were part of the military duty, gone to Germany and gone through some of the different stuff over there, like Hitler's bunkers and stuff like that, right? And they had seen pictures of Soros right next to Hitler as a younger man.
I believe it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's creepy.
Well, I told you my story about him, right?
No. What is it?
Oh my God, I totally have a George Soros.
Do you? We got all kinds of George Soros stories. That's funny.
I'm friends with Jim Rogers, who was his trading partner for a long, long time back in the Quantum Fund.
Okay.
And Jim Rogers on Fox, every once in a while you see him, he's this investor guy on a bow tie that's all Southern. But I gave a speech in Columbia in whatever the year was, they had the Democratic primary where Obama was, won the Iowa primary. I don't even know what year that would have been now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, this was like 13, 14 years ago. And 13 years ago, I guess. And I was talking to the guy, and in fact, I could look up his email right now. But anyway, the guy that hired me turned out as the right-hand guy for George Soros.
Okay.
And you probably recognize his name if I told it to you. I don't need to look at my email chain.
Gotta go pick it up.
So, this was in May, and before the presidential election, and it looked like it was going to be like Hillary had it sewn up. And the guy and I were just shooting the bull after the speech, and I noticed my check was like a George Soros check. But anyway, I was like, so, my speaking check. I was like, so I guess Hillary's debt machine cannot be stopped, huh? He's like, oh, she's not going to be president. I was like, pardon me? He's like, no, it's going to be Barack Obama. I was like, who? That senator? That guy? He's like, yeah, we're going to make sure he's president of the United States. I'm like, sure. He's like, write me an email in a year and tell me if I'm not right.
Huh.
And Soros funded the HuffPost. Soros funded Daily Cause. Soros funded, a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah.
He totally paid for a lot of Obama's campaign, and he got his guy in there. And George Soros and George Soros alone made that happen. And so that's ever since then.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, then right now the country would be gone because we would have been at war with Russia, and we would have been all blown up.
Right.
Because she loves war.
I remember that actually. I remember right before they were angling in Russia. Yeah, it was Russia and ISIS. And ISIS is now, nobody's ever heard of them.
Yeah.
And Russia's like, all right, we'll play ball.
Yeah, so it's like, and you know, I have this weird, I sort of have, people get after me for saying it, but I mean, I have this weird belief that Putin has a big part to play in history to come. I mean, people are like, oh, he's a killer, he's the worst person in the world, and I'm like, if he's that bad, why did he spend so much time and political capital trying to restore the Russian Orthodox Church?
Huh, that's interesting.
And he just built the world's most dope. I hate it when 58-year-old man.
Dope?
He built the most dope cathedral.
Did you want in here? In here?
Yeah.
Clean in here? Should I move? Sorry, one second. All good? Okay. Is this tomorrow? Oh, okay, cool. Excellent, thank you. I've got cleaners here, and then I was not sure if I need to leave my room. So Putin and shoot, I lost last little bit of that.
No, I think Putin has the potential to be a strong force for good if he already isn't. You know, I think in a way he is, and he's definitely.
Well, didn't he just threaten China? Like, hey, if you guys encroach on me, I'm going to nuke you. So at least he's not aligned with that.
Did I tell you the thing about Xi Jinping? When
No.
he ate dinner with Trump, you know, their famous dinner where Trump said, "Oh, by the way, I just bombed Syria." Anyway, after that, he went to Alaska, and he was telling his people, they were at that place in Alaska where you could see Russia,
Okay.
and he was looking over at Russia, and he, you know, looked back at Alaska and told his team, one day we're going to own all this. All this will be China. And Putin heard about that and was not amused. So Putin knows their deal. But the fact that Putin went as far as he did to restore the Russian Orthodox Church really makes me wonder, you know. But you're right. It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Is my friend, yeah.
So it's like that may be the role he plays, but I think there's something else going on with that guy. I really do. I was reading this book. It's sitting right in front of me. It's called Interviews with Putin, and it's by, of all people, Oliver Stone. But it's actually really good. But when you read it, you're like, this guy's smart as hell, and he has a moral center. Now I know he goes out and kills people. I know that. You know, but then again, so did Charlemagne, right? So,
Okay.
I mean, I get that, but I'm like, we're all told he's the boogeyman, but he might not be the boogeyman. Because I believe she is the boogeyman. And she owns Joe Biden now. I mean,
Who is this?
owns
Hillary, you're saying?
Xi Jinping, the head of China.
Oh, she. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. You thought I meant she as in Hillary. No.
Right.
Xi Jinping, like, yeah, he wants Alaska. He wants Russia. Because, like, his basic attitude is, you know, why should, and I should figure it out. I'm going to figure it out and send it to you later. But the number of square feet, well, like, what about this way? I figured out one time there's 4 lakes, L-A-K-E-S. There's 4 lakes per person in Alaska.
Okay.
Isn't that the craziest thing you've ever heard?
How many people are in Alaska? 100,000? A couple 100,000, right?
Yeah, like 400,000 now, 4 or 5.
Wow. And how many lakes per
Yeah.
person? 4?
4.
What the heck?
Isn't that the craziest thing you've ever heard in your life?
I'm from Minnesota, and there's a lot of lakes there, but it's not even remotely that many.
Well, like, and if you think of the number of square miles of land that, you know, is per person in Russia, I'm going to China shares that long border with them, I know exactly what China's thinking. And China's in a war, literally a shooting war with India right now, and everybody's ignoring it.
Are they really? I knew they were.
Yes, it's stupefying. There was up in the Himalayas, they had a fight with Indian troops, and the way they brought the Indian troops down is they used some of those really strong sonic weapons that make people throw up.
Okay.
You know, they're such strong noise weapons that it just drops into the ground.
Oh, I've been hearing about those. Yeah, the sonar,
Yeah,
or whatever that is.
This happened 6 weeks ago. India's at war with freaking China because China just keeps pushing and pushing because they didn't used to own Nepal. Is it Nepal I'm thinking about? Is that where the Dalai Lama's from? It's Nepal, right?
Tibet.
Well, the reason Tibet. Thank you. Oh, hello, Alzheimer's. The reason he wanted Tibet was because, they didn't have it before 1940. But the reason he wanted it, or the Chinese wanted it, is Tibet is the source of all the water on the Asian landmass.
No, really?
Water yeah. If you're in Thailand, your water's coming from Tibet. And so China claimed Tibet and then has dammed up all those rivers heading out of it. So they essentially have a stranglehold on Vietnam and Thailand and all the places downstream through water.
Huh.
It's like Russia.
Yeah, I'm pulling up a map right now. Where is Tibet?
Tibet's up north.
No, which one did you say had all the? Where was all the water?
Yeah, Tibet. Up in
Tibet.
the Himalayas.
Wow, China's
Himalayas are
huge.
the center of
Holy
Tibet,
smokes.
right?
That thing's like
Yeah.
half of. Oh, have they been conquering territory? I feel like they're a lot bigger than the risk board.
And they keep pushing westward into India, and China never gives up an inch of land. Ever.
Wow. Yeah, Tibet's not on this map. That's hilarious. I bet you they counted as China.
That's right. Google took them off.
Unbelievable.
But look, trace the source of all the rivers you see flowing down into Thailand and, all those places, China. Trace the source of all those rivers. It's up into Tibet. The roof of the world, yeah.
Crazy.
So, yeah, and so that's why they wanted it. And now that they've taken control of the rivers, they can go, hey, Thailand, you know that water you like so much? Yeah, well, we're not going to give it to you anymore. And they're already damming it up. I mean, Thailand's already pitching a fit about the fact that they've lowered the river levels.
Wow.
It's serious, crazy geopolitics being played. They're in Ecuador trying to claim all the trees. They financed the opponent to Bolsonaro down in Brazil. China financed it because China wants that food down in Brazil, all that food.
Yep. Yeah, you said Brazil and the U.S. are what? 70% of food production?
75.
75. Good grief.
Of all the food produced
in the world.
We feed 75% of the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time you heard about Africa exporting wheat?
Yeah, right. Never.
We export wheat to Russia. Now, here's the thing. If the world is warming up a little bit, and you know what? I don't know why people are so pissed off if it is, because all that means is we have more arable land.
Right, exactly.
Thing?
It's been warmer than this back in several different, like in the Middle Ages, right? It was warmer.
Right.
And Roman times was warmer. Yep.
It's like
actually
some area opens up.
Also, warmer is better for creativity because I remember what happened was they were building all those crazy cathedrals in the Middle Ages and building all these monumental works of art, and that was when the temperature was actually hotter than it is right now. And then they went into that little mini ice age and everything shut down. They went into famine, starvation, and just totally tanked the whole continent. Well, the whole world, really. And it was all temperature related.
You just went into like my trip for next year.
What? What are you doing?
Fall, when my son goes off to college, I'm going over to Spain on a cathedral tour.
No way. Have you ever read, what's his name? Let me pull this up. I got this book. Have you ever read Falconetti? Falconelli.
How you spell that?
Fulcanelli. So he is an alchemist, which is kind of, I've been getting all kinds of weird stuff, but he's like this alchemic master, and then he wrote this huge, not huge, he wrote Dwellings of the Philosophers, which is this book about how the cathedrals, the artwork there, tells like a deeper story, kind of like the Bible, right? Where there's these, all the symbolism, and if you know how to put the pieces together, the cathedrals are supposedly telling a big, I haven't read through it yet, but I've heard it's one of the best books in that.
Yeah, like the cathedral at Chartres, the windows in the cathedral at Chartres completely tell a story.
Right.
I mean, it's funny, in my PowerPoint movie, a lady pointed out the fact that movies are paced in the exact same sort of, the beginning, middle, and end. Movies are paced in almost the same timing rhythm as the windows of the Cathedral of Chartres.
Wait, say that again? What does that mean? I was like, wait, movies?
Yeah, movies. Movies are generally divided into 3 parts. And there's an opening that, let's say, is 3 windows. Then you have your middle part, which is a little bit darker, and that's about 4 windows.
Right.
And then you wrap it up pretty quickly. That's about 2 windows. Well, if you go back and look at the plots of movies on arc, time-wise, they follow almost exactly the story rhythm of the windows in the Cathedral of Chartres. I'll send you the part of the interview that I did with her, and because when she told me that, it blew my mind. And then I went and looked it up, and I was like, oh my God. And that's when I started getting obsessed. And that's one of the things where freaking Instagram is just, it's like, as much as I hate it, like there's threads on Instagram of Spanish cathedrals or French cathedrals that have millions of pictures, and they're just wonderful. It's like, as much as I want to hate YouTube, it's like every night I sit down and realize I'm watching 5 YouTube videos on art.
I know, it's tough to get. That's the thing that's so sad right now, is that all of these amazing tools and infrastructure that we have are being used against the people, and it's like, all that stuff is so awesome.
I know, but then again, then there'll be guys. I'll see Catholic stuff, and in fact, I watch on Sundays. I watch Mass from a Catholic church in Valencia, in Spain.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I realize the internet is used for a lot of bad. Mass in Spain, right?
Right. How bad can it be? Yeah.
And that part of me is like, there is good that can be made of it, which is, I guess, part of the whole. Like I said, part of it is, I think we just want to encourage or reassure or strengthen, or I'm not even sure what the word is. It'll come to me in a little while. I'm old, I'm senile. But with the 75 million people who right now are like, fuck, Yeah. Everybody's just so discouraged right now. I'm like, I just want to be like, all right, it's time to get to work. I have a big thing above my desk that my Spanish teacher always makes fun of because it's in the background, and it says "back to work."
Yep.
And that's what I want to tell conservatives. Okay, back to work.
Right.
Yeah. Don't go suck your thumb. Back to work.
Yeah, back to work and gotta work harder.
Yeah, but you know what? Work is a good thing, and you'll find as you get older, work is the secret to happiness.
Yeah, I believe that.
And if you have work you like, my ex-father-in-law told me this, and he said if you have work you like, and he was an open-heart surgeon, he said you never work a day in your life. And it's true, and it's like the stuff I do, it's like, probably I'll not be saying it, but I do a lot of it for free. It's like, oh shit, I get to go play in Emacs now, or oh man, I just remembered how to disable comments in WordPress. Because I hate comments in WordPress. and I'm like, just stuff like that sort of kind of makes my day when I.
Just getting in there and tinkering with stuff, especially when you got a problem and then you figure out this elegant solution. It's like, I did it.
That's why Emacs is so, or just even Microsoft itself.
Yep.
Just dumb old Microsoft Excel. I can go into that and just be happy. And I think I might have told you this. I was a beta user for Excel. That's how long I've been using it. Somewhere I have a copy.
Oh, for the original Excel? Wow.
The
Okay.
original Excel. Because it went Lotus 123. Then Microsoft responded with this thing called Multiplan, which looked just like Lotus 123. And then at the same time they rolled out the graphical interface, which I actually was a beta user for then. That was when I was 24. I'm 58 now. Yeah, I mean I've got Windows 0.9 somewhere.
Wow.
They
That's
ported
hilarious.
Multiplan over into Excel for the graphical interface. And then they bought PowerPoint, and because at the time nobody remembers it, there was no such thing as PowerPoint, or there was, but everybody used this thing called Harvard Presentation Graphics, which nobody remembers anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's all PowerPoint. I mean, I made a movie about PowerPoint. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And
yeah, you and your 600 slide PowerPoints.
Oh, well, I'm kind of well known for that. They actually teach that method of slide delivery at the University of Pennsylvania's engineering school.
Oh, really?
They literally call it the Galloway method.
Nice.
Because, well, the guy there's a buddy of mine, so he wrote me in just because he likes me.
Oh, very nice.
But people know, it's like, oh shit, here comes Galloway. But you know what nobody ever does while I'm talking? Nobody ever checks their tweets.
Right, you don't got time to do nothing.
It's like, we're just trying to keep up with this asshole. But it's like when I do that, I know nobody's looking at me. They're looking at my slides. So it makes it easier to get up in front of people. Because when I do a speech without slides, it's more tense. But you do it with slides, and it's easy. And if your slides are compelling, so I've learned the power of compelling visuals. Let's put it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? They work. And so if you use this thing called, it's called the ventriloquist effect, but it's sort of like there's a method in which your brain, you can give auditory and visual information at the same time, where 1 + 1 = 3. You know, people can learn more if they're combined in the right manner. I think one of my little modules on there, if I hadn't put it in there yet, maybe I did write it, I can't even remember now, is something called assertion evidence, which I kind of talked to. I think I maybe put it in the doing a pitch deck part of something I wrote.
Okay.
For the site. But anyway, yeah, it's about how important visual information is, because your brain can figure it out. And I don't know if you're a fan of comics, but I am.
Okay.
And there's this guy named Scott Adams who wrote the definitive, not Scott Adams. Yeah, Scott Adams.
The Dilbert guy, right?
No, not Dilbert guy. That guy's great. This guy's name is Scott something else, and I'll remember it in a minute.
Oh, okay.
He actually wrote the book on comic books, and he's in my PowerPoint movie too. And the point he makes is that the fascinating thing about comics, which can be also applied to a PowerPoint deck, is the space between the slides. You know, it's like you have somebody doing something on one panel in a comic book, and you look at the next panel, and your brain fills in what happened in between.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
And
like manga.
I'm not going to start on manga, dude. I was watching YouTube the other day, a day in the life in Japan of a manga artist.
Okay.
It's so great. It's like, there's a guy that does these videos called like a day in the life of a delivery person in Japan. Yeah. And I watch it because, I don't know why I watch it.
Have a delivery person?
Yeah.
Like
that one is great because the girl's so beautiful. It's like the most beautiful FedEx girl you'll ever see. And it had 11 million views.
Wow.
So I know it just wasn't me.
Right.
But the one he did on the manga artist I thought was fascinating, and I was like, I want that guy's job. But and it's the same thing like in a movie. 2001: A Space Odyssey?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, greatest movie ever made. But anyway,
Really?
there's a jump cut in it where a caveman throws up a bone in the air, and then there's a jump cut between that bone and a space station in outer space. And so you've just jump cut 1 billion years, but your brain fills out everything that happened in the meantime. And so that's a super compelling way to teach, is give people don't give people A, B, C, D, give them A and give them D, you know?
Right.
Because if they figure out B and C by themselves, it makes their brains happy, and they get a dopamine hit, and I mean that literally, because I'll do that on stage, and I can see people light up when they, because I won't tell people something. I'll throw something out there. Like I used to start off my speeches last year talking about the Chinese game of Go.
Okay.
Game of Go versus the computer. And then I would just move on to something else, and people would be like, the hell is that all about? Why do you do that? And then about 3/4 of the speech through, they get it. They figured out why I talked about that, and I didn't make it overt. And you can see them start to smile. It's like when you figure out a mystery in a book. You know, your brain, it makes your brain happy. So I guess my point is, in the context of what, you know, this project is trying to do, if you can, you know, if we can design things to where it makes people's brains happy, spend time on the site, you know?
That is my that's my dream too. Because I did a lot of web design and UX design. And my goal is always, like, I want to make the design so good that you don't have to read anything if you don't want to. You just absorb it. You know, that's what good design should be.
I get that. Oh, dude, you need to start watching Stanley Kubrick movies right now. The Stanley Kubrick movies are a masterclass in UX design.
Oh, really?
I'm not joking. I'm not kidding.
Was it Kubert with a Q or a C?
Kubrick. All right, in order.
Oh, Kubrick, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, in order, watch The Shining, then watch Eyes Wide Shut, then watch 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, back to Eyes Wide Shut, right.
Hey, well, you got to watch Eyes Wide Shut.
Well, this is the guy that did all this stuff, huh?
Yes. He also did Clockwork Orange, but I'm not crazy about Clockwork Orange. But those three, I want you to watch them, and then I'm going to tell you what's really going on. And when I do, your mind will melt.
Oh, really?
Your mind will literally melt, because he is on screen. You think you're seeing one thing, but that's not really what you're seeing. And when you realize what you're really seeing, your mind, it literally rewires your brain.
Really? Well, that sounds epic. I want to try that.
He is so, so watch him, and watch all three in as fast a sequence as you can. And a lot of people are like with The Shining, people are like, oh, that's boring. Then you explain to them what's going on, and they're like, oh, oh my. And when I explain 2001 to you, it'll change your view of the world. But what Kubrick is doing, is he's not telling the story through the script. He's telling the story through a specific set of visual images set in a particular order. That's why I said if you like UX design, you'll love Stanley Kubrick. All right? Because that's what he's doing. His movies, especially 2001, it's like a user interface into an unconscious story that's being given into your brain.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll give you a hint. There's a subtext to The Shining when you watch it, and see if you can pick up on it. But part of The Shining is about the suppression of the American Indian. That's not in the book.
It's a little teaser.
At all.
Right.
But if you watch the movie, you'll be like, oh, and he uses a lot of doubling, and but yeah, it's like, no, I mean, I get exactly what you say, I get exactly what you mean, but if you like design, you're going to nut up over somebody to get something, well, you would have a ball doing PowerPoint slides. You would have a ball. Because when you design those things and then you get to see them work, you know, like live, and you can see people's reactions to them, it's the best. It's just the best. It's the best.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm warning you out, dude. I know I've over-talked. I'm so sorry.
Nah, it's great. Yeah, I've gone from all depressed about the world is ending to being like, nah, I'm feeling pretty good now, so.
Well, in a sense, the world is always ending, right?
Right.
In the same sense that we're all dying, right? But right now, you know, look at it this way: we got a job to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we know who to fight. And
right.
So my attitude is, you know, back to work.
Back to work. Sweet. Well, thanks for the call. That was helpful.
No, it was a blast, dude. Take it easy and call anytime. I've got your number in there now, and you know, God, part of me does want you to kind of stay in DC now.
I'm staying. I'm staying, and I'm live streaming everything. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. Honestly, I can't deal with the life where I go into hiding and I just start like I just can't. I don't like who I am. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to stick here and just.
Do that. And here's the reason why. It may make a difference to one person, who then makes a difference to 20 other people.
Yeah.
Who then makes a difference to 400 other people.
Right. Well, the biggest bottom line is it makes a difference to me. Like, I feel so much better now that I'm like, no, I'm just going to stay and I'm going to do this. Versus before, I was feeling like a little bitch, you know? I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want to feel like that. No.
You can't do that. You got to fight them. You got to fight them. And the thing is, you know, enjoy the fight. Don't look at it as a chore. Look at it as, you know you're doing the right thing. So, you know, pat yourself on the back and enjoy it.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the fight is really just having conversations like this. I mean, I could do this all the time, so.
Oh, dude.
This is great.
Dude, I'm so loaded with this stuff. All right, I'm going to probably, not to Slack, but through your email, I might start sending you some stuff that you might want to take a look at.
So I've got I just had a conversation with someone doing really deep kind of intel stuff the other day, too. I'm wondering if we should set up some kind of, because communication and infrastructure is going to be a big thing, and I was like, Notion might be okay for a little bit, but probably, that's when I hit you up about the Emacs stuff. I'm like, what? We got to find a way to do this, because I think everybody's got, more and more I'm finding people with some really good intel. Yeah, I definitely want your stuff. I'm just thinking, how do we do this? But yeah, maybe we'll figure that out over time.
Let me put my brain on it.
Yeah.
Let me think about it.
But yeah, I definitely want to see it. That China, whatever that China one was that you were saying, and
dude, it'll take your whole evening. You'll be kiss 5 hours goodbye.
Right. I'll have to line up some calls after that too. That sounds depressing, but.
My only problem with it is the girl who hosts it, who's a girl named Tiffany Meyer, is a clone of my ex-wife.
Oh.
Yeah,
right.
My ex-wife is Oriental, and so it's like, oh man, it's like, can y'all get another host, please?
Right.
She's attractive and everything, and good, but it's like, oh, it's just like, man, hey, Louie, go away, stop.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, dude.
Sweet.
You take it easy and look for some stuff coming your way, probably to your email, and
yeah, I'm pumped.
Don't let those people get in your head.
Yeah, I did a little bit, so I'm glad I'm back to me. Yep. Sweet, dude.
They're not worth it. They're not worth it. And this is someone, remember, I was the guy who was the only conservative columnist on the HuffPo.
Oh,
and
yuck.
I used to drive people batshit crazy because the stuff I wrote always wound up on the front page.
Really?
I got so many eyeballs.
Oh, right. Yeah, because the conservatives are the majority.
Yeah, but oh my God, did they hate me? They hated me.
Yep.
And, but,
you're like a unicorn, the last of your kind. Are there any conservative writers out there anymore?
Ones that are actually conservative?
Right.
There's a few, but then there's also people that you can read or things you can watch, you know, like Lord of the Rings or like John Wick or
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a list.
Ford versus Ferrari. I thought that was great.
Oh my God, did I love that movie?
That was the first time I watched a movie in years where I was like, that felt American to me. That felt like just a good old classic film.
Cried like a
Yep.
freaking baby in front of my son. I was like, oh no, he's gonna die.
Ah. Yep.
And I was like, but you know what? He died the right way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it was a great.
That's what I told my son. I'm like, that's how you want to go. You don't want to go in a nursing home calling some big Jamaican woman mama. You know? You want to. That's terrible.
That came out of nowhere. That's hilarious.
That was random. But yeah, but you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
was what is known as a good death.
Right. Yep.
And yeah, but I cried like a little. Oh, and here's one that you would never guess is conservative. Oh my God, The Incredibles.
The first Incredibles was really good. Yeah.
The first Incredibles is so conservative that guy basically was blackballed in Hollywood until Tom Cruise let him make the fourth Mission Impossible, which is the best. No, the last one's the best one. But 4 is really, really good. And I have to tell you, I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I know he's crazy. I
Yeah.
understand that and Julianne knows him. He's a friend of Julianne. She's like,
Oh, okay.
He's crazy. Because she was in his movie. She worked with him for 2 years. She's like, he's completely crazy, but nobody works harder than Tom Cruise.
Wow.
That's what she told me. She's like, he's out of his mind, but nobody anywhere works harder than Tom Cruise. And I'm like, I guess because in fact,
Well, you gotta be crazy if you're gonna work that hard.
And that's what he does. She said all he does is work. And
Right.
part of what I got into, something I wrote recently on the thing, is about work ethic. I actually wrote something kind of bizarre, but kind of interesting on Russian entrepreneurs versus United States entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's kind of
What the
interesting.
mindset of a Russian entrepreneur is. And I actually wrote it as sort of a little motivational thing, saying, look, if entrepreneurship is kind of reviled in Russia, but these guys are out there doing it anyway. We're in a country where it's pretty freaking easy to set up a business. Let's get going.
Right.
Let's go. I might start putting back to work at the beginning of all my little life.
Back to work.
Back to work.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. But what was I saying, Tom Cruise? Oh, Brad Bird was blackballed because that movie was so conservative.
Right.
The Incredibles, if you look about it, is all about self-reliance. It's complete, and it's all taken straight from. Have you ever read any Ayn Rand?
No, I watched the movie of one of her things, but no, I haven't read her.
No, at some point, you ease your way in with the Fountainhead, right?
Yep.
So you ease your way into Ayn Rand with the Fountainhead, but then you read Atlas Shrugged. And when you read when I read Atlas Shrugged, let me put it this way, every successful business person I've ever met said that Atlas Shrugged changed their life. Because it's completely about the individual versus the state. And,
Right.
And in fact, it is insanely timely reading for you. I'm going to shoot you the EPUB. There's a speech in the middle of it. I'm actually going to send you the speech first. There's a speech that the main character makes in the middle of it. Oh, the other thing. Did you say you play video games?
I don't. Occasionally I'll dabble, but yeah, I don't play too much.
There's one called Bioshock.
Yeah. I've played Bioshock.
Insanely conservative. Wow, that's conservative. And that's completely all Ayn Randian. In fact, the main character name in Bioshock is an anagram of Ayn Rand's name.
Really?
Yeah. No, so see, stuff gets out there, and I was so happy because when I was playing that game, I was like, "Holy shit, this is Ayn Rand."
Right.
And I, of course, Googled it, and I was like, Atlas Shrugged. It's about 19 pages long, and it almost killed her when she wrote it. But you'll get his speech of John Galt. You'll get exactly. It's one of the best things you'll ever read, and it changed. That one speech in that one book changed the course of human history. Because everybody I know Elon Musk worships that book, and people get up his ass about worshiping that book. It's that powerful. It's that strong. Dude. All right, I gotta get some work done, dude.
All right, yeah, we've been talking forever, but this is great. Thanks for taking the time.
Wonderful, and once again, thanks for interesting work. And I'll check in off and on. I'll be hitting the road, but I'll check in off and on.
Oh, right. Yep. Okay. Sounds good. Well, I'll catch you later.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Society, and we have one person who just came from there in the White House standing in the way, and it's going to mean, and you don't fully realize it, but every one of us here, every American out there is going to have to stand up. We read about it in history, we read about Normandy and all of that, but now we are in it, and so we must spread it. We cannot surrender. And the president said he wouldn't. You all know that that the attack on the Capitol was done by Antifa, but it was enabled by McConnell, by Schumer, by Pelosi, and the mayor. They knew that was coming. You've all been up there. There were hardly any security police there, and they moved in, and Antifa did their thing, and then the media picked it up. I worked for Fox for almost 17 years. It's disgraceful what they're doing. And unfortunately, Rupert is driving that with his sons, and they have now merged with the rest of the mainstream media. This is serious. This is expanding. We cannot let it happen. We don't have 4 years. As Hong Kong has seen, we do not have time. Time is against us. And Ann and I were just talking to someone about the information that's being released that shows clearly in those battleground states the cyber warfare that was used. We also I found out yesterday, that Comey, the former FBI director, sold the Hammer and Scorecard, this top secret program, to the Chinese. So you now have this top secret program that is like your iPhone. It gets in, it's called Hammer, it gets into the voting network, and then it has an application like on your iPhone. You have all those apps. It puts it on, and it modulates the voting so they win. Not by a large number. I got a call Tuesday night at 11:30 that the ISI from Pakistan was now in the voting machines in Georgia. I called someone, let them know the two candidates, Loeffler and Perdue, were ahead. I watched. 1 hour later, they were behind. They have taken control.
Yeah, pretty sketchy.
No matter what I do, there we go. Gotta figure out these remotes.
Got the garage door working.
To the door, but when I get back, we'll actually have garage.
Ooh, looking good.
Imagine that. Crazy. Of course, it's like 20-mile-an-hour winds today, so.
Wow. Man, you went all out.
But yeah.
I suppose I should. It doesn't help if I'm not looking at it. Our garage door didn't work before.
Will it actually work? Stay.
Oh, baby.
Nice.
Very nice. Okay. I gotta decide what I'm gonna do. So today I was all bummed out, really bummed out. Yeah, I'm going through this bipolar stuff. Yesterday I was super excited, felt like I was at the top of the world. Today I was really bummed out. This whole election thing, I mean, it's pretty clear that we're at a pivotal point in history, and whatever we do moving forward is going to decide, it's going to decide a lot. So the question is, are we all aware of what's happening? Are we all prepared to do something? And then will we do it? And I think I'd say it's right now, it kind of feels, it's tough to know because there's so many people. So yes to all, no to all, right? So that's kind of the thing that I've been trying to figure out. But anyway, I think what I'm going to be doing is just live streaming and having conversations with people, and hopefully we'll see what happens. I was talking to someone earlier today that were saying, oh, anybody that even attended the Trump rally should be thrown in jail. And I was like, well, that seems pretty extreme. That's not constitutional in any way. That's ridiculous. But I don't get to decide what other people do. I just get to decide what I do. And so I think what I'm going to be trying to do is stick around in DC and just show up every day, and let's see what happens. And I'm just going to be live streaming all the time. It's going to be hit or miss, I'm sure, because I don't know how any of this tech works. I'm not going to be able to edit videos. I'm assuming I'll get shut off certain accounts at some point. So it'll be interesting, but got to do something. And I would encourage everybody to feel free to start looking at things like, if you're actually concerned about what's happening, what we have to do is we all have to start acting. And we don't have a central planner. We don't have anybody dictating orders top down and directing the troops. And so what really needs to happen is that everybody needs to take action immediately wherever you can see it. And our top-down commander needs to be God. And essentially, we have to just listen to, what is my role? What do I need to do? And I think there's really two different types of battles, right? One is the action component, so that's just listen to what I need to do and do that. Whether that's, I heard one person was giving away food to people, which is great. Some people are working on businesses, trying to build economic prosperity. Some people are working on messaging, like I'm trying to disseminate information. There's so many things that we can do, and I think everybody has to just step up and do just that one thing, no matter how small, because that one thing will lead to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. We can actually unify together just by doing this. I think it'll become clear. And the other thing that I think is really important is to, don't be afraid to talk and to share information. So what I'm seeing with, for example, Twitter, Facebook, they're shutting down, they're kicking conservatives off their platforms. They're shutting down conservative sites like Parler just got kicked off the Apple Store, just got kicked off the Google Store. The main goal, this is a psychological war that we're in right now, and it's a war for people's minds, because your mind will control your actions, right? So what they want, the way that you would conquer a territory or take control of something, is I want my opponent to just be couch locked. I want you to be sitting, watching TV, not being active, not being defensive, not protecting yourself or your liberties. I want you to be sitting down and doing nothing. And I think that the number one way to prevent that is to start having conversations with people, because that'll get the information flowing. No person has all the right pieces of information. I don't. Nobody does. And I've been talking to conservatives and liberals, and the thing I'm finding is that everybody has something useful. Everybody at this level of the game wants, we all just want good lives. We want to be able to go out and live our life, and just don't bother me, let me have fun. And I think we all have different pieces of the puzzle in terms of what we believe and the information we have access to. And if we're all sitting home watching these crazy people on YouTube and on the news, we're only getting this one very curated message, and it's missing so many pieces. So I would challenge everybody to do whatever it is in your head that you think you can do, and also start talking. We have to be communicating to one another, or this is going to go really poorly. over time. I don't see this going in a good place unless we can motivate ourselves into action. I know this is all happening so fast, but that's really the point of moving fast, right? To catch everybody unaware. So it doesn't make any sense to just sit around and feel bad and like, oh, maybe I need to take all those posts off my Facebook. That might make me look bad. Is that really the life you want to live? I'm not going to live that life. None of my Facebook posts are bad. I am a good person. Nothing I have done is bad. I will not apologize for that, and I will not back down. And I hope that you won't either. So, anyway, I got to decide what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to leave this stream. I'm not sure if I'm going to toggle these on and off or if I'm just going to leave it running the whole time. So, yeah. Actually, I tell you what. Maybe I'll turn this one off because this now is the full content. I'll turn it back on, but I'm expecting it to be a little bit boring now because I'm going to go research stuff. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes.